And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. Alright, so today I'm going to talk about scripting. Now, scripting isn't really something that a general Linux user would do, but if you are into programming or you just want to be able to control your PC more with a file, then go ahead. Scripting can be very useful. But if you are not interested in at all, this section can be sliced right out of the entire course and you wouldn't really have missed a thing, except for the fact that you now don't know how to do scripting. So you can skip this course if you want to, or this episode, this tutorial, whichever. So anyways, now let's create a file. So I'm just going to go to Documents and create, or do I already have a trash here? No, I'm going to create a directory. So make dir, I'm going to call it trash. I'm going to cd into trash. You don't have to create a directory called trash, I just want to. Then I'm going to say touch. And as you know, touch creates a file. Now, this is where the interesting part comes in. You have to create a file with the extension .sh. For example, if I go here to tutorial.sh, if I press enter, there you can see it. If I long list it, you'll see it doesn't have any executable permissions by default. This is probably just a feature Linux added to ensure safety, because running a .sh file is like running a .bat or a .exe file in Windows. Of course, you don't even have to have a .sh as an extension. You can just have the name, but .sh is recommended, so you can tell the difference. But to change it, it's just chmod +x and tutorial.sh. And if you long list that again, as you can see now it has executable permissions. I'm going to use Sublime Text to edit this tutorial.sh and to show you how everything will work. So here I have my Sublime Text open and we can just start typing. So this first line is optional, but I do recommend you still using it. /bin/bash. Now this is called a hashbang. This right here, that's a hashbang. Basically, this right here, if it's at the very top of your file, it basically tells the computer we are going to use bash. If your computer doesn't use bash, you might want to go .sh or .zsh, csh, or whatever. But my computer or Linux Mint in general will use bash. And it's not required, but it is recommended to have this here just to specify where it's going to be. Of course, anything with hashtag is a comment though, so if you use a hashtag it won't be read, except for this hashbang right here. This one will be read, and this one will be taken into account when it wants to execute the code. So it's basically the same scripting as like writing in the terminal. So if I say echo and I go hello, then in fact we can actually just make these side by side. And if I just save this right here, and I accidentally closed it. Let's quickly open it up again. I'm pressing the wrong one. It's Alt Tab, not Control Tab. And here I say /tutorial.sh. Then as you can see, it just echoes out hello. And we add another one here, and we say there. And we go back here and we run it. It says hello there. So it's basically the same as working here for the most part. There's some things that aren't useful, but we'll get to that. So then we can also ls, and if we want to, we can even add flags like -l, for example. So if we look at this, there you go. We can even go /-la. That will still work. As you can see, capital A also still work. So yeah, it's the same thing. You can use the basic commands you can use inside here. You can also use inside here. So yeah, it's pretty simple. But sometimes it's also a good recommendation to, instead of using something like ls, to rather go /bin/ls. This is the pathway to ls. So if you go here and say where is ls, then as you can see it is in bin ls. So this is actually what we recommend, or is recommended to use instead of just ls. To rather specify than just use is often seen as better. So if we run this, it's still going to give us the same output as normal ls, but you know, you still put like tags here if you want, or flags if you want to, and there you go. So it's recommended, but it's not required. You don't have to use the full path. Now, variables are basically where you can keep things in it. For example, if we go myvar and we make that equal to var, and then we echo $myvar, basically what we just said is create a variable and put var inside of that variable and then echo it out. So if we run this, as you can see, it gives us var. Of course, we can also go here and say general info, for example, and then if we go here, general info. Take note that if you add a space here, then it's no longer a variable, it's something else. So then if you run this, it's going to say, hey, myvar command's not found. But I believe you can do that. I don't think that will give you an error. No, it does. So yeah, you might want to just keep them all together on the same line. But what if you were to put a command inside here? What will happen then? Let's see. Is it going to print out ls? But what if you removed these? Well, it will probably just print out ls again. Because this isn't seen as a command. This is seen as a variable. Alright. So, yeah, you can probably put commands in here, but it's recommended not to put commands inside of variables, just because I think it's just bad practice, because, you know, putting a freaking command inside of this when you can, yeah, it's just in general not very good. So yeah, I would recommend you don't do that. So I'm not going to show you how to do that because I really don't recommend it. But that's how you create variables. Now, the second last thing I want to talk about is if statements. So let's say, for example, if, and we just said 1 eq1, and then right here we can just say then echo yes fi. Might look a bit confusing, but let's quickly run this and just make sure it works. Okay, let's maybe go here and rather create a variable. So var myvar is equal to 1. Let's do that. And then right here we can say myvar. And just add spaces here just to say what you want to do. I believe this should be -eq. It should be a flag, not in just normal. As you can see, it says yes. But if we make myvar 2, then it's no longer going to say yes. It's just going to skip this line. So basically, this helps you to get specific details. So let's say, for example, you want to make sure that if the user enters a value, such as, do you want us to copy this file? They should answer y or n for yes or no. Then you want to like check, hey, is that what they inserted, is it yes or no, or is it not? So yeah. You can also use normal things for strings. So let's say myvar is name. And then let's say if their name is equal to netsu, or netsu, not name, then it should print something out. But this is a flag EQ. Will it accept it? Yes, it will. But when you're working with strings, it's actually recommended to rather use a double equal for working with strings. Same thing though, but it's just seen as better. Of course, you then have a not equal to, so if this is not equal to this, then it, you know, since these are equal, this will execute, but if this is not the same as this, then this will execute. So yes, if I make this instead of netsu, I made it nesu, and I run this, it's going to say yes, because they're not the same anymore. Now we're going to go through all of them. I'm just going to show you more. Then you have bigger than, you have smaller than. Then of course, if you're working with numbers, so integers. So let's say this is 5, for example. Then it's not rather, then you shouldn't use equal or not equal. Well, you can, but these are more used for strings and not numbers. So what you can do is you can rather say something like dash eq to check if they're equal. So you know the variable dash eq and then the value. That will check if those two are the same. You have ne for not equal, gt for greater than, lt for less than. And then you also have these symbols. So this is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. You can use this with numbers. And this var doesn't exist, so we should go my var. I'm going to say nothing happened. So yeah, this says yes because this exists. Now, of course, you can also go, instead of just ending it off there, you can also go else. And basically what else will do is it will allow you to give an output for in case this didn't execute. If this didn't do anything, then else will execute. So if we're going to run this, it's going to just say yes. But if we're going to change this 5 into a 6, which means they're not the same anymore, it's going to say no, because it skipped this and then went on to this. So yeah, that's the basics. I'm not going to really cover if statements further while I can. I'd prefer not to. But anyways, then here we can just do our last thing, and that's a for loop. So let's say for, and then we do that. And in here we can say something like I, for example, is equal to 0. And then we can add a semicolon, while I is less than 10, I plus plus. And then here we can just say do, and then we can maybe echo out I. And then we can, and then we can say done. I believe that should work. Yes. So here we're creating a variable. The reason why we don't need to have a space, or why it's required to make these one thing, is because this is a special space made exactly for storing variables. It's inside of the for loop, so this will store variables whether there's a space or not. And this will just say while I is less than 10. So as you can see, it starts from 0 and goes all the way up to 9. So while it's less than 10, I plus plus. So that will increase I. That will basically say I is equal to I plus 1. It's exactly the same thing. But here we can just say I plus plus. So yeah, that's a basic for loop. You can also loop through words if you want to. For example, if we went here, and we can say create a variable and call this, we can maybe just comment this out and call this words and make that equal to my text or test. That will also work. Then we can say for I in words do, and then here we can just say done. And inside of here we can maybe like echo out $I. Let's see if we get an output. You know what? This is why it didn't work. I put a $sign there. Whoops. But yeah, as you can see, it worked with that as well. So if we remove this $sign, we just clear here and we run this. As you can see, it says my and then underneath that test. So this goes for each and every word. So if I say my test is pretty cool, and if we go here and run it, my test is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the basics of scripting. Of course, there's a lot more you can do, and with the knowledge you have already gained, basically you can already write your own program. For example, let's actually just type here htop. There's a little bit of stealing, but you know, you can just say htop, for example, and if you run it, it's going to run htop, and basically you've created your own program. Well done. Didn't do that, but don't steal this program. But yeah, so you can use this to either write programs or to just do basic tasks that you don't want to do on your own. For example, one of the things I do when I write code, for example in C++, and let's go into banking, And I have an .sh file here called .run or run.sh. So if I go sublime run.sh, as you can see, here I have my default code. So instead of me having to type out make and then echo and then echo this again and then echo and then put this output there, or actually I don't need this if I'm just going to do this, but you know, instead of me having to go out here and say make and whatnot, now I can just say run, and this will not only build my C++ files, it will also run it while telling me it's currently running. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to tell you. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed and can now write your own little script. Sorry I didn't go too deep into this, but I feel if you're just going to be a basic Linux user, you don't really need to know too much. But if you want more, you can comment in the description below and I will create a more detailed video on it. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed and see you all in the next video.